Welcome back to Real Airgun Adventures, and to something a bit different. Now, I don't generally do a lot of these, well, I say I don't do a lot of these strange mystery type rifles, but I probably do actually, thinking about it. So this is an Italian stock. It's a bolt operated, multi-shot, rifle barreled, pump action air rifle. Now, I'd never seen one of these quite like this until just recently. So full disclosure, this isn't mine. This has been loaned to me by the guys at Protect Supplies in Bognor Regis, and they've just got a knack of turning up these really odd bod rifles. Now, it's bolt action multi-fire. It's got a magazine which is integrated into the action. So you take your shot, and each time you shoot, you manually index the magazine, and it fires 12.177 pellets. The I was going to say the breech, the block, it's tiny. It's cast with some material. It does have dovetails on there for a scope, has open sights which are adjustable for windage and elevation. Quite simple and rudimentary, but they work. And then you've got this little raised shark fin bead on the end, which serves a purpose. Now, I have fired this, and it's not very good. But here's the thing. This is a BAM B45-3, circa 1980 something, and these were probably around the 50-60 quid mark, which puts them a lot cheaper than, say, the Benjamins, the Sharp Nova, etc. It kind of fits a need, you know, if you want a cheap, interesting, fun pneumatic air rifle with a multi-shot magazine, and you're not looking to enter competitions and win prizes. And it does look, I mean, I've heard it said that these are one of the ugliest guns ever made. I disagree, actually. I think it looks pretty good. As I say, it's not mine, and I almost wish it was. It's got a really nice feel to the stock. Now, I can tell you something about the stock. This is the stock this gun was supplied with, but this stock was fitted by SMK in the UK upon arrival, and then shipped out looking like this. Now, the original stock, I've got one here, was like this. So that's how they arrived in the UK, and that is instantly recognisable as a Chinese best airgun manufacturing rifle stock. It's made of some unidentified Far Eastern hardwood, dipped in some terrible treacle type lacquer, just grooved at the end. Pretty rough finish, looked cheap, looked nasty. So SMK, being forward thinking, sourced their own stocks, which are really quite nice, with the raised cheek piece and the quite grippy stippling. Actually, it's very good, and they just feel nice. It's well finished, and it has changed this into quite an attractive air rifle. Now, you would think at first look that maybe it is a Benjamin, or I don't know, a Benjamin or Crossman possibly. It's got that sort of US market look to it. I'd imagine these were being imported to America and have been quite popular. Where they fall down is probably the accuracy. But having said that, you know, I've fired this over, well, I tried it initially at 10 meters and it was okay. So I stretched it out to 20 and it wasn't okay. But, you know, it's a cheap Chinese air rifle that was really for fun more than anything else. There probably aren't many kids that wouldn't have given their right arm to get hold of one of these. I guess a lot of adults were probably quite keen on them too. So here we have a cheap 1980s Chinese import that doesn't look very much like anything else that was around at the time, which is probably why I quite like it. Now, they're not particularly rare and exotic, although as I say I'd never seen one, but they were imported in great numbers and sold in great numbers, and I've no doubt they're hiding in lofts and backs of wardrobes and probably people's garages all over the country, if not all over the civilised world. So I doubt very much it's ever going to be valuable. There's another interesting feature to this. So it's a rifle barrel, and I know that because if you unscrew, let's just take that off, the cocking handle or the bolt handle, which does just unscrew, you can withdraw the bolt, which actually is quite well machined considering that this is a very inexpensive rifle. And with that done, you can look straight down the barrel. So if you should have the misfortune to perhaps double load or have a blockage of some description, really easy to sort out. But yep, that's definitely a rifle barrel. Simple, effective, pretty good looking. Now the important thing when firing one of these is that you can't pump them more than 6 times. That is the limit. And the reason for that is if you pump it more than 6 times, there's a seal that bursts. And that's probably going to have happened to an awful lot of these. So it could be there's a lot around that aren't in working order, or people have broken them and just disposed of them. But I do think there will be a good few of these kicking around. Now once that's back in, and I really should look at it while I'm doing it rather than the camera, we're back in business. I'm going to fire this. I'm going to shoot, I'll just shoot 3 or 4 into a target at say 10 meters, just so you can see. It is fair to say that it's not particularly accurate. It's quite nice to shoot. It's a single stage, quite a good trigger considering that this is a really cheap gun from the 80s when, you know, cheap guns were terrible guns. There's nothing about this that sort of looks terrible, you know. I mean, I don't think it's an ugly rifle. The actual plastic handle on here is kind of SMK B3 sort of standard. It's like a bit of hose pipe actually, but it's okay. All the bluings, I don't know, it's about 75% still there. There's a bit of rust on it here and there, but for all I know, this could have been lying in a puddle in someone's shed for 10 years. The magazine itself is still pretty clear. You can still see when there's pellets in there, you can see where there are pellets. It does have, which is quite a nice feature, a red line. So that will be your number 1 starting point, and then you work your way round, and when the red line reappears, you're out. Although you can actually, or you could see the pellets in it. It's a little bit cloudy now, but I believe that still would work. Now to load it, now this is the interesting bit. If you look, there's a hole there, and that hole is where you put the pellet in, face up into the magazine, and then manually index it and do the same 12 times. And when you finish, away you go. So the magazine doesn't come out, it's captive, it's part of the rifle, which is probably why it survived, probably why it's still there, because it would have been lost or broken years ago. Again, it's not a bad idea. It's quite easy to do. It's not particularly fiddly. It would be nice if it was an automatic magazine, but then again, for the price and the time that these were around, that probably wasn't going to happen. I would say that back in, say, 85, 86, maybe 87, if that came up for 50 or 60 quid, I'd be very tempted, especially with the Italian stock. I've got to be honest, I wouldn't be quite so tempted with the original Chinese stock, but then again, you could probably do something with that if you wanted to. I've got no urge. Anyway, let's do some shooting, quick roundup, and then I'll get this back to its real home. I'll be right back. Okay, so that's how it shoots. It's nothing to shout about. It does shoot. It didn't jam. It's quite reliable, considering the simplicity of it. I would seriously consider adding one of these to my collection, I think, just for the sheer novelty value of it, I suppose. But like anything, you know, it did serve a need. There was a demand for these. I've no doubt that some of these were probably sold on as being more rare and interesting than they actually are. I don't know what they're worth. I don't know. You know, somebody might pay, I don't know, 100 quid for one, perhaps, maybe, with the Italian stock. Can't imagine that with the standard stock. But if you've got one, keep hold of it and look after it, because I suspect a lot of people aren't keeping hold of these or looking after them, and it could, in time, become a collectible. Anyway, that's enough for now. I just thought I'd share this little odd gun from the guys at Protect Supplies. Thanks again, because every time they suggest I have a look at something, it's always something unusual and a bit interesting. Anyway, that's it for now. Please like and subscribe. It's a big thank you to all those who have liked and subscribed. It's much appreciated. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.